Welcome, chamber music fans. This is Michelle Schumann here with the Awesome Chamber Music Festival. I'm very happy to be able to welcome Alla Aronovskaya. Did I say your name correct?
Perfectly.
Oh, you're just being nice. She is the first violinist and founder of the St. Petersburg String Quartet. And I know the St. Peter's String Quartet has been to Austin quite a few times, but I don't think you've ever been a part of the Awesome Chamber Music Festival. So it's exciting to have you there, and it's I think the first time that we're having an all Russian string quartet as well. So it's very exciting for us. So welcome, and thank you so much for joining us here this evening. I know that you just came in from Mexico. You were there on vacation.
Yes, 4 days. In whole year, I got 4 days vacations. Yeah.
I was going to ask you about that. I bet you don't have very many times when you can just go on a straight vacation, do you? Yeah. But when you're touring, do you ever find time that you can actually enjoy the sights and actually have some fun with the places that you tour to?
Yes, of course. You know, last time when we were on vacation, we visited again Cancun, and we visited pyramids, and we swam with dolphins. So we enjoyed it very much. Yeah, it's kind of like.
And when you're on tour and you actually play concerts, do you try to incorporate some sightseeing when you go to different cities as well, or are you usually too busy to be able to do that?
Just trying when we have time, when we have just half day free.
Yeah.
Of course, we're going to the museum, we're going to see the sights of, cities, of course, but it's not very often happen because most of the time we're arriving late evening, and then next morning we have a rehearsal, and then little time for the. Actually, for our concert in Austin, it's going to be in between our summer academies. We're doing 3 summer academies this year, and we usually do it. This is our 5th year. So one of the academy, 2 weeks academy for the students in Connecticut, and another one in Wichita, Kansas, and the 3rd one in Dallas.
Great. Well, I'm so excited that we could fit you in there. And this academy, is it a chamber music academy, or is it for young soloists, or how does your academy work?
This is all about the strings and piano. So this is program very unique for the United States. So in our program, students getting private lessons every day, chamber music every day, orchestra parts one by one with a teacher every day, and 2 hours of the chamber orchestra. So students getting like 4 lessons per day, every single day.
And then they have their rehearsals with the
rehearsals with other students, and we usually doing some concert in between the weeks and the last concert and the last week. So it's very, very intensive.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about it. It's interesting that you say this, because I know that the Russian training, the system of musical training, is very different from the American system of musical training. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit about that, because I don't think a lot of people really have the idea. I know that I read on your bio bit that you first started plunking notes out on the piano when you were 2 years old, but you went to music school at around age 6. And what did that mean for you in growing up?
Yes, so music school in Russian, it means that you get in professional music education starting from age. Right now they starting from 4 or 5. In my time they started about 6. So every week every student gets in 2 private lessons, solfege or oral skills, choir, orchestra, chamber music, music history. So it's like 6-7 disciplines every week that you go in. And also there is system in Russia where we have special music schools where kids, instead of running from academic school to music school, they get in all the education in one place. So this was my first idea when we came in 1997 to live permanently in the United States. This was my first idea I was looking around and I didn't see any schools like that here in the United States. So I thought, so many talented kids, why? And just now my idea, since 1997, can you imagine? Just now my idea kind of like getting, closer to, in the university, in Wichita State University, we just applied for the grant to be able, on the base of the Wichita State University, open such school where kids will get professional music education from age 6, because in the United States they do not have some parents can give them private lessons starting earlier, but most of the kids starting from 5th grade. And in Russian system, this is kind of late. I can tell you it's kind of late because all people, we have a kind of like limit until age 16, maybe 17, 18, when we can train our muscles like acrobat, like gymnast. Like gymnast. So it means like for American kids, we need just 6 years to develop their technique. Because after 18, our muscles become old. They start to respond slowly. They start, the memory that we get when we are young, much more stable and much more, especially coordination memory.
Right.
So this is our idea, and we're looking forward to see if we will get this.
It sounds interesting too, because it's not only about learning the violin or learning your instrument, of course, because I think there are lots of kids who start when they're 5 years old, 6 years old, but I know that there are also lots of students who are beautiful players. They start when they're 5 and they go through 18, then they go to the conservatory or something, but they've never had any music theory and they've never had sight singing or oral skills or anything like that. And it's that whole idea of musicianship that I know is different for that system, and I think it's amazing that you're starting to do that. My question is, how does a parent know that their child should be going to a school like this so early on, and all the kids who go to a school like that in Russia, do they all become professional musicians? Do they stop doing that at a certain point, or how does that kind of weed itself out?
I can tell you, when I started, it was like in the beginning of 60s, the music was big deal in Russia because of the names of the Oistrakh, Kogan, Richter. So all parents want to be their kids, famous and travel all over the world, and especially because they can see that, like big name musicians, they're kind of like seeing the world, travel abroad, famous. So it was big privilege for the parents, and everybody was dreaming that their kid's gonna be famous checkmate player or famous musician. So it was a huge competition to get to this kind of this school. And we, usually we having, audition in April, May, to be able, and the professionals, professional musician, they checking the, not just ears, because right now there is a system that anybody can develop their ears until perfect pitch. Everybody can do. But there's some special ability, for example, teachers looking for construction of the hand. To realize if these kids can be violinist or it can be pianist, and this is reliable from really young age. Yeah, so they're looking for their reading, they're looking for such things. And we, in our school, they prepare everybody in the same level, like preparing professional musician. Then kids just after 16, 17, they decide by themselves if they'll still like it. And I can tell you, this is, in my time, it was kind of a special world of kids who study music. We visited Philharmonic concerts, and it was kind of like different worlds. So we've got different vision to the world. For us, world was full of music, musical ideas, stories from opera, something different. Yeah, maybe don't like to name it, but it's kind of like elite group, who is living their own, like in university. We have some special houses for the kids who live in just in this house.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it'll be very interesting to see how that kind of works in the United States and that sort of thing, because parents generally don't envision this for their children, and because it's all oftentimes is so related to making a living and making a good life for yourself, and parents are so worried that that kids who love music with all their heart, they're so worried, the parents are so worried that their kids will be broke, that they'll have no money, and that they won't have a big life. And so it's interesting, and I always encourage kids who really love music, who are talented, who work hard, to follow that dream and to see where that will lead them, because it's always possible maybe to do something else later if you want to do something else, but music has to be done now.
I can tell you, in our website, Academy website, if you go, not St. Petersburg Quartet, but St. Petersburg Academy website, there is my article about 10 reasons why we should teach kids music. And the reason is not just because they're gonna be professional musicians, certainly, but because starting, to do, work in music, you develop so many special kind of like powerful things that you can use in your life in any direction. For example, communication. When you're playing chamber music together, you kind of like train kids how to work together, or counting, or imagination. All these things kids can use in their life, whatever they will decide to be, manager or whoever.
We will post that on our website on the.
Copy this is from our.
Or I'll do a link. Yes, we'll go ahead and do that, because I know we really believe in that, in giving. Of course, the Austin Chamber Music Festival and the Austin Chamber Music Center has a large educational component, and we always say the same thing. I mean, we want to train the next generation of musicians, but we want to train the next generation of music lovers and people who will do other things as well.
This is important, because it's kind of like different when kids go into the concert without any background and listen to music, and differently, for example, when they read story of Mozart and then they listen his music, it's kind of different. And I can tell you, I haven't dealt, 2 years ago, maybe you've heard about the little boy conducting. It was YouTube fame. Jonathan. So this boy, somebody just sent to me link. So this is what, So somebody sent me the link to see this boy conducting the Beethoven Fifth Symphony. And I become crazy. I start to search, where is this boy? Because I need to meet him. And I found him. I just sent an email everywhere where I was able that, please, whoever know the parents of this boy, let them know that our academy given him full scholarship to canto. And can you imagine that they respond to me? And 2 years ago, he came first time to our camp in Connecticut. And he also playing violin, and he also conducting. So this is third year when this boy with us every summer, and he's going to be with us all 3 camps this summer.
Wow, great.
He's visiting me once in 2 months in Wichita. They stay in my house. I work with him every single day. And this is kind of like experience that I can tell you, when kids living in music, it's different person. He's talking about music. It's not just because he's genius, he's special kid, but his sister, who is not that musical, she also kind of like observed this style of living, loving music, getting special feeling about the music. So, and this boy actually just won the contest that Houston Symphony promote in May. They they promised that winner of the air conducting competition gonna conduct Houston Symphony.
Oh, no kidding.
And this boy gonna conduct Houston Symphony in June.
Oh, wow. What a thrill. That's amazing. And how old is he?
He's right now 6.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
You met him when he was 4.
Uh-huh. Wow, that's amazing.
He already 7. He just passed 7.
And where is he from? Where does he live?
He's from Arizona. Near Phoenix, Mesa, Arizona. His name Jonathan Oxeniuk. And you can find him everywhere. Just type Jonathan conducting in YouTube, and you will see all his recording, conducting, playing in our camps, conducting our chamber orchestra, playing with our orchestra. And he appeared already in Anderson Cooper show. He appeared everywhere in the world. 9 million takes in YouTube.
Goodness. You know, I always say that talent is born anywhere. It can be in the smallest town, but good teaching doesn't exist everywhere. And so if we could raise the level of teaching everywhere, then all of that talent that could be born anywhere could really be fostered.
And also I can tell you, looking at his mom, this is something special that probably all the teachers needs that kind of mom. And this is kind of parents that we got when we study.
Yes.
So even though they were not musicians, but if my teacher told them, look that she's practicing, my mom will sit next to me, don't understand anything, but she will just, see if I'm practicing.
I know, it's a huge part of that. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, huge part, and this worked because then you can see how much faster kids develop, how they organize, how they know the time. For example, when we have 7 lessons per week, you have to arrange your time with your academic and
yeah. And the other thing is sometimes learning music can be a little bit lonely, especially if you're young, especially if you're 5, 6, 7 years old, to sit in a practice room by yourself with an instrument without guidance. I know for me, my mom sat with me when I'm a pianist, and my mom sat with me when I practiced till I was probably 13 years old. And she just sat there and read a book, but I wanted her there,
Yes,
she didn't say much of anything.
At least you perform to somebody. When we have nobody to perform, I put my toys in the sofa, and they were listening to me, It's kind of like part of the artistry that you learn as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I know for me growing up, my mom didn't know a lot about music, but she knew that it had to have a certain feeling. And when I would play something, if it wasn't quite right, she'd say, "Michelle, it needs more schmaltz." And that was, I think I'm a very schmaltzy pianist now because actually, for parents, it's also experience. Even they do not have a musical background, but they learn to, and they finding the interest to listen. And I can tell you from our concert life, the Quartet concert life, about 20 years ago, many people told me, "Oh, what you gonna do? Your audience is old, always gray hair in a hole, so what you will do in 20 years. And I told you, after 40, when people get in gray hairs, they start to interesting something for their soul. Yeah.
And this is generation by generation. So
I think I always think about that too, because people always say that too. Your audiences are dying out. But I think it's, the people who drink wine, or the wineries, they never say, "Oh, the young people aren't drinking wine, it's only old people drinking wine." The people who eat dark chocolate, they're like, "Oh no, the kids aren't eating dark chocolate." Some things, it takes a while for you to kind of appreciate and want and yearn for. And I think probably always classical music audiences have been a little bit older, but there will always be older people, and young people will get older.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, in some point of every personal life, your soul needs something, something that you talking. I think music. This is the way how you talk to the whatever you name, God or spirit or whatever. This is the way how you connect with something that more than you and everyone in a planet.
Yeah.
Whatever their background, they get in this point when they need something to talk to their soul, their heart.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's so wonderful when young people are learning the instrument, because I feel like for them, that's the experience, that tactile feeling of making the music themselves, whether they become a professional musician or not. And then later on, they can have that appreciation and be able to watch the St. Petersburg String Quartet play something and feel that feeling that they had themselves when they were connecting to the music too. And it's sort of that kind of circle that I think is really...
I can tell you a very interesting story. About 14 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, our quartet played in Seaside, Florida. After a huge hurricane, we came there, almost everything was destroyed. And we played in a little club, maybe 80, maybe 100 seats. And after the concert, suddenly, one lady knocked to our door, came, and we played Shostakovich Quartet number 3. So she came to the room, said, "Guys, you changed my life," and disappeared. 2 years ago, she found me on Facebook. And she said, "Maybe you remember me. I'm the artist. After your concert, I started to paint the big work called Shostakovich Quartet number 3. I started to learn cello. I started seriously. Right now I'm practicing 3 hours per day, beside my painting and other job." And she worked on this painting for 10 years. Last year she presented it in Tallahassee, and she invited me to come to the presentation because about 7 years ago I started to write a book, like memory book, about our quartet, about my life, about Shostakovich quartets. So it was kind of like circle that it was, last January I read my chapter about Shostakovich Quartet number 3. She exhibit her painting. So it's happened very, very often when people after the concert, they just feel like they discovered something new.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, that's the experience that we want our audiences to have, to take away, because that's what's so wonderful about music. Now, the program that you're going to be playing in Austin is an all-Russian program. You're doing Shostakovich 8 and Tchaikovsky 2, and then a new piece by, now let me see if I can say, Nadarevshvili.
Yeah, Nadarevshvili. Yeah, almost.
That's a tricky one.
Yeah.
And I've heard that this is a wonderful piece. Can you tell us a little bit about this piece and the composer?
Yeah, the story is more than 20 years ago. We still in Russia, and it was all Russian composers competition, young composers competition, and the composer won the first prize with this quartet, and we were the first performer of this quartet, and we meet this guy. He came to St. Petersburg. We played this quartet, and we fell in love with the music because the language that he using, to writing is so unique. He's in kind of like, Georgia in Russia. Georgia, this is like country full of mountains and space. So he used in the his music method of the echo, a lot of echo when each voice repeats another, like an echo. But repeating, we have no bars in most of the quartet in this score. We have no bars, no metronome. So it's kind of like improvisation. When we listen all the time, we listen each other, and there is like some sounds that remind sounding in mountain, like following stones, or repeating or for example Georgian choir song like that. So really, and this quartet was dedicated to the people who died during the Stalin repression. So it's kind of like very tragic music. And I can tell you about maybe 15 years ago, we played in New Jersey in some university, and audience was very young, maybe 20, 25 years old audience. After the performance, so many students, so many kids came to us with the tears on their eyes. Yeah, because I don't know how the harmony, and it's just very, very powerful.
Yeah.
For us, it's always not just pleasure, experience, special experience to play this music, because we never know how it will be next time. Because each performance you have different feelings, so your timing is a little bit different. So it makes music in each performance unique.
Well, the great thing about that, too, when you have that variety, is that the audience has something to do with that, too. And I will tell you, our audiences are wonderful at the Chamber Music Festival. And sometimes, and I don't think audiences often know how much of an impact that they can have on music, but when they're kind of engaged, and you can understand that as a performer, you can feel when the audience is with you, and you might have more of that experience of being able to take more time or create those special moments. Just hearing you talk about it makes me so, I can't wait to hear it. It's just, I'm all ready.
Yeah, I really like that audience. If it, probably it's going to be program notes, so it would be really helpful if I will talk about the music, but would be really helpful if they will read the program note that composer write by himself, and we translated it, because it's really explain each movement, explain what he mean when he wrote this music.
I'll tell you what, I don't like program notes at all, because I don't want people reading while you're playing. But I promise I will talk at the beginning of the concert, and I will go ahead and tell them all about that. Because it's one of those things where I don't want to give people a reason to get outside of the music. I want them there with you, and so that'll be great. And if you talk about it too, that's so wonderful. I
can talk.
Yeah, terrific. Well, it's been a real pleasure talking with you. Thank you so much for meeting with me and talking to our audiences, and I know that they're very excited to hear you. The St. Petersburg String Quartet will be the first concert of the Austin Chamber Music Festival, so we're excited to be able to open up with you.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful evening, and I'm glad you're back from your trip, and enjoy the Academy that's coming up and all of your concerts.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, take care, Allah. Bye-bye.